rad.
Crazy. Whenever I'm in the Great Hall, there's no delay. There's like no latency.
The Great Hall.
Whenever I'm recording in the Great Hall here in Northern California.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was like a full second delay on my end.
Oh, it was? Oh, okay.
Yeah, your collapse.
That's weird. Well, let's see. I don't know why that would... Weird internet issues.
But it's always like that. I mean, it's always...
Yes. Well, it's going to take a second to get back to you for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And until we have podcasting on the blockchain, it's going to be a problem. once Bitcoin SV can support the podcasting app, then we won't have a problem with any latency, and all podcasts will be interesting and fun to listen to.
Let it be known that JJ is the one shilling BTCSV,
yes,
not Michael.
I'm shilling the future podcasting apps on BSV, because BSV is going to solve every problem.
So you've actually been doing... Are you still doing work and getting paid in SV? I
don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that was somebody else. My bad.
Not me, man. I like being a part of every community.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. And SV actually has a pretty interesting community. You know, this is the perfect thing to start talking about, because we've been kind of chatting all day. You know, we've been following Richard Hart and his Hex thing, and you know, all of the maximalists and all this stuff, and why people are so pissed at each other. It's like, that's just crypto right now. Everybody's finding something that they hate about. It's just generalizations all over the place. And one of the things I was thinking of is how when we had Daniel Krawitz on the show, one of the things that he said, and he's a big BSV supporter, and he said that like if you are a Bitcoin fan, you should like the forks, because the forks offer experimentation with Bitcoin. Like they should be something that you approve of. You should want to see growth in your chain. But instead, like, it just turns into a battle of personalities and like marketing and all this stuff, and it becomes so sour so quickly.
And you see it every time there's any kind of fork or new big project that gets launched. The maximalists just come out, pitchforks raised, in force, in unison. You know what they remind me of? They remind me of conservatives in America. So if you follow politics at all, and this is kind of the joke about how bad Democrats are. When Democrats are against something, it's 5,000 different voices saying 5,000 different things. But when conservatives are lined up, like Republicans in Congress are lined up against something, they all literally say the same sentence. Anytime they're on camera, they all say the same exact sentence. And it reminds me of mesmerism or hypnosis, where it's just like this chant of like, lock her up, lock her up. Oh, you need to lock her up. Well, you know, Hillary Clinton, you need to lock her up. And then so it's just this phrase that gets in people's minds, where even if they have no idea what anything, like any of the details about the circumstance, they know the phrase lock her up. And I get that sensation. It's almost kind of like a cult-like sensation when I listen to the maximalists just kind of go on the attack against Hex or go on the attack against anything. Like, you know, Digibyte was one that it's going to get delisted from Poloniex because apparently somebody made a snide comment to Justin Sun on Twitter, and it just shows you how centralized exchanges are, that he's going to now delist Digibytes.
What like somebody said like Digibyte's better than Tron or something like that.
I honestly have no idea. I searched for it, I couldn't find it. So if you're listening and you know what it is, please hit us up on Twitter at keyword crypto, because it just reminded me of like in the centralized world of cryptocurrency, because that's what it is. It's a completely centralized world. We are at the behest of these these crypto sensations who think they're, God's gift to crypto. And if you step, it's like 1 foot out of line, they will delist your coin. They will shut down your, they will do everything to shut down your project. And it's just like,
which is crazy.
Ridiculous.
I mean, if you love crypto, you should love crypto. And that's like what I'm talking about with Bitcoin forks. It's like when Bitcoin forks, if you're a Bitcoin holder, your Bitcoin doubles. That's a great thing. And that means you have more power as an investor, as like a user of that. If you immediately sell, in 2017, in August of 2017, Bitcoin Cash was so contentious, and a lot of Bitcoin maximalists immediately sold their Bitcoin Cash because they were like, screw this. I hate this. Like, this shouldn't be happening to my coin. But then you just basically, if you did that, you threw away your influence over the chain. I mean, you voted with your voice. You voted saying, I don't want to have anything to do with this. But you also lost your influence. You lost your voting power in the community, basically. Unless you were actually planning on buying it back when it's lower so that you could have more influence or more purchasing power or whatever. But most people weren't thinking about that. They were just thinking, this is garbage, because it became about personalities, because it became about brand and stuff.
Yeah. And I love how Bitcoin people were like, well, there's no personality because, Satoshi is anonymous. And it's like, no. Every single maximalist is a personality at this point. They're trying to be the leader of Bitcoin in some sense. And they're like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. It's like, then why are you like... going batshit crazy calling everything a scam. Yet you can't explain how anything else... Like, I've never heard a maximalist explain how anything else works.
Yeah.
Outside of their full-throated attack on Ethereum, they can't explain any other coin how it works.
But
they just call it a scam.
Can you explain to me what the full-throated attack on Ethereum is? Because to me, it doesn't even really make that much sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me. They say it's centralized, which it's not. They say the proof that it's centralized is it can be rolled back. And I said, well, it can't be rolled back without a consensus.
I can see how they would think that, and if it were true, then I would say, okay, well, they did roll it back once. That was early on. That doesn't make me very comfortable with Ethereum. But to jump to the next conclusion, which is, but ICOs are scams, and that's Ethereum's problem. That's kind of like, that's not a great argument.
Hello, One Token and Plus Token and every other BTC scam that has defrauded, millions of people. Yeah, and
I don't know. Like, I'm ready for Ethereum 2.0. I think, me personally, I love what it brings. Scams and everything. I mean, I don't love people losing their money, but this is crypto. People are going to lose their money no matter what. And you can't blame crypto for scams, because there's US dollar scams galore. And when we had DeRose on the show, and I actually asked him, I'm like, what about all of this industry that develops from crypto and all of the questions that crypto answers? And he said, there's a lot of exaggeration, or he said he liked to use the word hyperbole. There's a lot of hyperbole in the crypto ingenuity. But you know what? Like, I like that anyway. I like it when like a crypto says we're gonna like put, baked goods for pets on the blockchain. For me personally, I think that's funny and kind of cool that people are even going to that extreme and thinking about how this technology could be used for something else, even if it is lame and stupid. I just like the color, basically.
Well, if we didn't have so really fast, I want to correct myself. One Token is not a scam. Plus Token, I was talking about Plus Token, the thing that's been going on for the last year. If we didn't have the internet bubble and bust, that was the internet bubble was everybody thinking there should be a website for that, and the world wasn't ready for that. Not enough people were online and using it every single day in every single facet of their life to warrant there being a website for everything. But you want to know what? 20 years later there was. And now there's a website for everything. or a social media connective page for everything. And every single person is online pretty much every single moment of their life. In some way, they're connected to the internet. So why would, it's like, this is exciting for crypto. Like, who cares if we're going too far and people are saying we don't, like, that's what I get frustrated with is Bitcoin maximalists don't seem to understand how economies work at scale. Because if they did, they would be really excited for all this competition, because it would bring more users into the space. And just because you're taking off a tiny little slice of market share, it's that, like, right now it's not a zero-sum game because 100% of the people aren't in crypto. So every single new person isn't taking away from Bitcoin, it's increasing the total market share of the entire space. And so it's just like they're so scared. Bitcoin maximalists are so fearful, and it's kind of sad just how just afraid they are. Like, if they're that confident in Bitcoin, they should be excited for competition. But they're not.
Yeah, one reason that the 2017 crypto bubble happened was, I mean, the reason that it, from my perspective, it was people really wanted to get a part of this altcoin action, these ICOs, which brought a lot of eyeballs to crypto and the space and the markets, which flooded people into Bitcoin and flooded people into Ethereum. And those are good things. Like you bring up the .com bubble. In my opinion, that really needed to happen. Like that boom and bust needed to happen so that we got all of this stuff, like all of these people paying attention to how the web could be used in alternative ways, that different than what they thought it could be used for. And the same thing is going to happen with crypto. And if it doesn't, then why would a maximalist want to shill their Bitcoin anyway? Like these people on Twitter who just kind of like, you know, they're memes of themselves at this point when they're like, you know, hey, I went to the doctor's office today and it was good news. And then at the bottom, it's buy Bitcoin, you know, or just like buy Bitcoin. These people who just constantly say buy Bitcoin, this could go to zero. Bitcoin could be absolutely worthless. In fact, right now, not very many people use it. It doesn't work very well. We've talked about all the different ways that Bitcoin is actually not that great and why you might maybe don't want to buy it. So like, if anything, it should be like, hey, check out all these ICOs, check out Ethereum, check out all this stuff that's going on, and then buy Bitcoin at the end of it, you know, or something.
Yeah, whatever. Anything. Just like get excited about the space and then go buy the thing that's not exciting because it's the highest market cap and it's probably the safest bet right now. Right? Okay, great. That's at least just be honest about it, because what I think more and more people, I get the feeling that more and more people are just getting tired of the maximalists and they're getting tired of Bitcoin, honestly, because you know, like with all the hex stuff, it's kind of hard not to hear Richard Hart somewhere on the internet, because he's interviewing with everybody. But you know, so I've listened to a few of the interviews, including the most painful, embarrassing interview on the face of the planet with Peter McCormick.
It's pretty bad.
And we can get to that in a second if you want to talk about it. But he's been saying some painfully truthful things about Bitcoin. And the reason they're so painful is because they're true. He's not lying about this stuff. Everything he's saying is pretty much it's like commonly accepted things about Bitcoin.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
slow, it's unwieldy, it's expensive. You know, it's not really that usable. No one's using it. It's, you know, what was it, like 10% or how much percent is still locked up by the scammers of Plus Coin or Plus Token, and it's just like I mean, it's the original pyramid scheme.
I want to get something out of the way real fast, and that is like, if we talk about somebody like Richard Hart and whatever that connotes in your head, like whether you're the type of person who thinks, okay, that Richard Hart, he's a YouTube scammer, or whether you think like He's just a YouTube personality trying to get attention. Like one of the things about this show is we'll actually listen to anyone if they seem to make sense to us, whether they represent BSV or Nano or whatever. And we had Richard Hart on a couple of weeks ago, and it was it's interesting for us to listen to a guy like that because it's hard to argue with what he says. It's easy to argue with somebody like Saifedean or Peter McCormick or actually let's fucking talk about that. What an idiot, man. To go on his show and be like, Richard, like one of the things I feel like we could get a beer together. We'd be like good friends. And like that was his plan to like disarm Richard Hart. Was like, I'm just going to make sure he did this. Peter McCormick did the same thing to us when he came on our show. He said, hey, let's go get a beer when I'm in
prosaic. LA. Like just so pathetic attempt to like you said, just to disarm. And it's like,
you're a scammer. God. Michael, you're a scammer.
No, you're a scammer.
I want you to know, Michael, that like I consider you a good friend, and I've always liked you. I've always liked you, and I'm not a technical guy. So if you want to bring up technical things, like I'm just not a technical guy, but you're a scammer. You're a fucking scammer.
Meaning I have no idea what I'm talking about. But because I know you're a scammer, I'm not going to do any research.
But
to educate myself.
My show is a technical show. It's about technical things, but I don't really know much about technical things. And I'd like to get a beer with you.
It's just, dude. He's become like a walking meme of himself. He's pathetic.
When you said he's like Donald Trump and he's just like the last person in the room is the person that he agrees with. I think that's kind of true. But you know what? I'm actually okay with that. If I'm not okay with Donald Trump being that gullible or whatever, I'm okay with somebody who is a journalist who wants to talk to people and learn things from them.
Hold on.
That's
what
we do on this show.
Yeah, sorry.
What are we talking about?
No, I was going to say there's no way that guy's a journalist. Peter McCormick is not a journalist. And he even admitted it when he was on our show. He said, I'm not a journalist. Because I said, if you go into an interview with somebody, because who were we talking about with this interview?
Brock Pierce.
Brock Pierce. And I said, if you start the interview and you don't let him like give you any information, then you're not really a journalist. He's like, I'm not a journalist. I said, oh, okay, great.
But
at least you're open about it, that you're not a journalist.
That's another way for him to sort of disarm the conversation. It's like, well, I'm not a journalist. I'm a podcaster. So I can be a total douchebag idiot and it's okay. Or whatever. I mean,
but that's the thing. So as long as people realize that he's not a journalist, he's not somebody you should look to get any solid information from, because he's not fact checking anything. He's not doing any research. He's not questioning his own beliefs or the beliefs of the people he interviews. He is not a journalist.
Or the people that follow him.
He's a maximalist and he's a scammer. He is an actual scammer. He is trying to get you to buy Bitcoin. He is trying to get you to buy into the pyramid scheme. And he's open about it.
I mean, he's trying to get you to listen to his show so he can get sponsorship monies and endorsements and things and sell merch.
Exactly.
And I think that is kind of messed up because, I mean, and Richard Hart, I think these were his words when he said that Peter McCormick's run out of things to talk about with Bitcoin because Bitcoin's really not that interesting. So he's got to do this stuff like, I'm going to attack Craig Wright, or I'm going to attack Richard Hart, and I'll just try to call him a scammer for an hour and not actually debate, not actually do anything intelligent. Like, that's just going to be funny.
And then in his Twitter feed, he's just like, well, why would I waste any time researching a scam project? To know if it's a scam or not. That's the whole point. You can't just call something a scam because it's not Bitcoin. Like that, the idiocy. I mean, the sheer stupidity and low IQ of Peter McCormick. That's like saying Ford is a scam because I drive Mazdas. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Why would I do any research into Fords if they're a scam?
Because it's a scam. Fords are a scam. It's a scam.
And therefore it's not worth an ounce of my energy I don't know if you measure energy in ounces, but it's not.
Even though it exists, it's there. And here, and let me interject for a second and say, Hex could be an absolute scam. I'm not vouching for Hex. I'm not vouching for Richard Hart. We're just kind of going by what he says. And what you were saying earlier is that it's really hard to disagree with Richard Hart because he says so many truthful things. That's the craft of a good scammer.
That's true.
I'm not saying he is you keep injecting a lot of truth into an argument to make it seem true, to make the whole thing seem true. You have all these like plot points that I can go out and verify online and say, oh, wow, that is true. That's true.
Yes.
That's true. So everything he says must be true.
And
but that's what a good scammer does. Richard Hart could be a scammer, but we don't know.
You actually, so when he was on our show, one of the things that we kind of caught him on, and you particularly, was he's throwing out a lot of information that he's not defining and he's not being clear about. Yeah. And you're very right when like he's interjecting a lot of truths into this, a lot of things that make a lot of sense, but he can't tell anybody what he's doing with that $4 million worth of ETH.
Yeah.
And he's telling everybody that that's how you get rich.
Yeah.
And he's saying all of these truthful negative things about Bitcoin in the space. He's doing all this stuff so that you go, oh man, Richard Hart knows what he's talking about. I should take him seriously. I like everything he says about Bitcoin is true. Therefore, I should reevaluate the way I think about crypto.
Yeah.
But unless you are actually asking these questions, you might miss the fact that what he's doing is not actually that different from what other ICOs have done in the past.
Absolutely.
And, I mean,
he's just doing it in a much more interesting way, an exciting way.
Yes.
And he even said, and if you listen to his YouTube shows, he talks about how to manipulate people. He's very open about like, this is how you disarm somebody. This is how you get their attention. This is how you get them to be your friend. This is how you question them when they're up on stage and you trap them to being like honest about what they're, he walks you through these steps. So I would not be surprised if he's doing that with Hex people, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, I don't know who the auditors are. He says he's gotten it audited by a few different companies, and he's listed their names. So if you know anything about auditing, check out his audits and see if they're legit. I'm interested. Like, he does have that past, and he does have that flair to him of. And it could just be all the maximalists have said, you're a scammer, you're a scammer, you're a scammer so many times that it's ingrained in my head now. And I could be manipulated by that. Like, it could absolutely be true. And that's why I try to like take a step back. Okay, he shows signs, but so does every single maximalist. They all scream scammer to me.
Yeah. And I think that's they scream scammer to you. I think that it's important, if you're interested in crypto and you're interested in spending money in this space, that you should kind of have that scammer alarm in the back of your head, because it's all over the place. And if you're interested in crypto, there's a good chance that you are the type of person who gets scammed easily. There's a good chance that you're the type of person who falls for these things.
Peter McCormick.
And
who lost all his money in
Yeah, and I'm not. No one wants to admit this. Like I've this has happened to me before too, but nobody wants to admit that they are easily conned. Yeah. But people who are easily conned are usually the best people, because they're trusting, and they want the world to be a wonderful place, and they want to believe in things. And especially when somebody sounds like they make a lot of sense, then you want to trust them because they seem like they have your best interest at heart. Exactly. And that's just keep listening to this podcast, because we try to walk that line, and we try to we will interview people, and we will drink their Kool-Aid for a minute And then if you listen to the following episode, we'll usually have puked up their Kool-Aid and be looking at the ingredients of it.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
We drink it and puke it up so you don't have to.
Keyword crypto. Puking up your Kool-Aid.
Hey, by the way, welcome to the show. This is Keyword Crypto. I'm Michael. That's JJ.
Hello.
We're curious about cryptocurrency.
We're curious about crypto. And if you listen to Richard Hart's followers, I'm just a stupid kid, and you, Michael, are a shitcoin shill.
Yes.
That's right.
I love how they said everyone kept on calling us kids, and I think both of us are older than Richard Hart.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I
Maybe
guess
we just sound young.
I just sound youthful.
That's what I like to believe. We sound youthful and energetic and curious about crypto.
Yeah, we're just kids, like something 20. We're like 23 to 25 years old. Like we're so excited about technology, and I just moved to the Bay Area because I'm so interested in tech.
And living in someone's backyard in a tent because it's so expensive.
Hey man, life's an adventure. Buy Bitcoin.
This week has been just wild. So I actually unfollowed Peter and had to mute him from my feed because I just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, I think I did that a while ago. No, actually, I still have him in my feed. You know what? Like sometimes I don't think he realizes it. Maybe he's just trying to trigger people. But like, when I don't know. He's a weird guy because he's like a self-proclaimed former socialist who now takes on libertarian leanings, and he even defines himself that way, which is like really cringy because, that's like saying. No, I don't even want to go there. It's just because libertarianism is just, and I've said it on this show before, it's cosplay for the right wing. It's like,
thank you.
I mean, it's
cosplay for the right wing.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
It's just it's right wing light. It's the ROTC of conservatism.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your cadets, the right wing cadets. So
let the brainwashing begin.
So we have an episode, a really early episode that where we talk about crypto scammers and how they can kind of get re-legitimized in the space. Yeah. And I think that's interesting how Richard Hart is kind of one of them. Now, nobody's ever been able to prove that he's scammed anyone.
And that was a really kind of stop him in his tracks question for Peter when he's like, okay, list who I've scammed, list who's complained about me scamming them. Yeah. And I was like, can I do some Google research? And I found a couple articles, and they were garbage. One guy said he threatened his life, and I looked at the line, and all he did was make the reference, says, if I put a gun to your head and I ask you to send me money, are you going to be able to do it?
Yeah.
And he said, and he's like, no, because you don't know any of my addresses. You don't know my referral links. You don't know how to get in touch with me. You would have zero way to send me cryptocurrency, even with a gun to your head. And he then said, Richard Hart threatened my life.
Yeah. Richard Hart's,
that was the complaint.
Yeah. So Richard Hart's not a good example. I think people label him as a scammer because he seems so like weird and sleazy and like he's like the hustler Dracula of crypto or something. It's really kind of strange.
I think he's a really naive guy in a good way. I think he's a guy that actually wants to help people, and that's why he keeps on doing all these different side projects. He was in this weird website called the Methuselah Project or something like that, and it does seem super shady. Yeah,
totally.
But I think
I think he even mentioned that he used to one of his businesses was like selling sex toys and sex products and stuff, which I don't know if that's true. That's something that I think I heard him say in one of his live streams, but it was something like, you know, he probably got really good at marketing things that people, you know, on the internet really wanted.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of like that. No, I'm thinking of people like the guy who is like, he's also a YouTuber. He lives in Korea. He goes by Bitcoin Fund Manager. Do you know this guy? You may have come across him.
I've seen him. Yeah.
So there's this guy in Korea who started doing these videos about crypto. And this stuff's amazing. This is the reason that I'm in crypto, is because it's so amazing to me that this guy, this Bitcoin Fund Manager, is like a known scam artist, a known con artist. Like he's like, he would do that thing where he would like claim to own like a printing business and like make videos of himself in somebody else's printing business and be like, hire me to do your printing. And like, or he would like say that he was a web designer. He would take a bunch of photos of himself like wearing glasses in front of laptops and be like, I'll design your website and stuff like that. And people would get scammed over and over again and say, you got to watch out for this guy. And then he started up a Bitcoin hedge fund and always talked about how they had analysts all over the world or something like that. Although you only see this guy obviously hadn't slept in days. And now, but because he's been in crypto for the last few years, he's actually gotten pretty good at spotting the altcoins that are going to pump, right?
Yeah.
He's actually gotten pretty good at it, probably because a lot of these altcoins are kind of conny themselves, a little bit pumpy and dumpy. So it takes one to know one. So he's actually kind of caught on to that. And now people follow him looking for that information because it's helping them make the right calls. So this is a guy who is a known con artist, and he has re-legitimized himself through crypto. And maybe he won't exit scam. Maybe he won't actually steal people's money because now he can actually get off that train. And I think that's a really interesting thing that crypto does. We did an entire episode on it, so I don't need to go back on it here. But I just think it's interesting how these people kind of come back into the limelight for a minute. And Richard Hart even called himself, he said, he said like, he's like the third most famous Bitcoin advocate or something. He said there's Andreas Antonopoulos and Trace Mayer and Richard Hart. He's like right up there, which I thought was funny. And I was like, no way. Like, why would he even put himself in the top 10 Bitcoin, you know, whatever you call them, evangelists. Yeah. But then in that same interview, he said, name another person in the top 10. And like, I think the person that he was talking to, it was in one of those interviews where he just wrecked the guy that he was talking to. But like, yeah, we couldn't come up with another answer for that. Who's like Pomp? Is he one? I mean, like, or who? I don't know. Like who? Like, I don't know. Like Dovey Wan or something like that. Maybe. Like, does she go around the world to conferences talking about? I don't know.
I never heard her talk about Bitcoin, just crypto.
Yeah. So is Richard Hart actually one of the top 3 evangelists of Bitcoin? That would kind of blow my mind if that's true, but maybe it is. Maybe it is.
He flat out said in our interview with him that he became a Bitcoin evangelist because he missed the Ethereum train, and he had to pump his bags. He had to shill his bags.
Yeah, that's what Mike in Space
said.
Mike in Space said that he was kind of felt a little sore that he missed that Ethereum pre-sale. I think a lot of Bitcoin maximalists. And
you want to know what's funny? All the oh God, what's the word? I hate getting old and forgetting. What's the word where
you're forgetting words?
Projecting. So all the maximalists are just projecting onto Ethereum and saying Ethereum people are sore losers because they didn't get into Bitcoin early enough. When the truth is, all the maximalists are sore losers for not getting on the ETH pre-sale. And that's really what it is. Yeah, they're just fucking sad.
Listen to our interview with DeRose. He says, I left a lot of money on the table not investing in altcoins.
Yeah. So that's 3 people we've interviewed who got in really early, who missed the ETH pre-sale, and all really regret it. And Richard Hart said that the ROI on Ethereum is higher than it is on Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, a lot more. Yeah. So, but here's the thing: if you come into investing in crypto, one of the reasons that it's actually better to kind of stick with the Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever, and not go down the rabbit hole when it comes to altcoins, is because if you're the type of person who likes to gamble, it just leads to that. It leads to that obsessive gambling thing. And that is a good reason. Like, if you have to, sure, then maybe just be like, they're all scams. They're not worth my time. They're just going to take my money. Because that's probably true. If you try to trade the altcoins, like, you're probably going to lose all your money. I mean, statistically, you will. And so I can understand why you'd come into crypto and just be like, you know what? I'm not even going to touch that other stuff. It's like,
especially if you're
I'm
like
going to
Peter
smoke
McCormick.
weed, but I'm not going to do heroin. Like, heroin's off limits. I'll smoke weed.
No, but like Peter McCormick's open. He said, I lost all my money. I was a millionaire at one point, and
trading
then
altcoins.
Trading altcoins. He lost everything. So I can see from his standpoint. Here's a guy who, after how many years of interviewing the smartest people in the Bitcoin space, he still can't run a node on his own, and he lost all his money in altcoins. See, they brainwashed me into saying it right off the bat. So he's admitting that he's not that technical, and he's admitting that he's not that smart at trading. So he can't run a node, and he loses all his money at trading. So somebody like him, just pick the highest market cap one, put all your money there, let it ride. And he's built a business. He's built a good business so far, but like you said, he's running out of material. So he did the Craig Wright attacks, and got a ton of money for that from people and views, and now he's doing it with Hex. And so it's like, I mean, he probably won't do it any much longer with Hex, because he's saying, I'm going to block him and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But like,
he'll find something else. Else. I mean, he's probably doing whatever he can to find that next thing. So Peter is in the, maybe this is not that obvious, but Peter is in the attention business. I mean, that's his revenue, basically, is getting attention. Yeah. He's a content creator, and content creators all want attention. See, one of the reasons we have a lot of flexibility on this podcast is because we don't make money from this. We don't get paid from it. We're not a business in that way. So
hey, hold up. I just won a contest with Zengo, the cryptocurrency app for my iPhone, and they sent me 50 cents in USDC. So I'm going to declare that to our audience. We have officially made 50 cents of USDC from the Zengo people. They are not a sponsor, though.
We just endorsed them anyway, though, so that's funny. As I'm in the middle of talking about how we don't make money off of this, and we're not a business, but that gives us that gives us a bit of an edge to talk about things however we want to, and that's great. But whatever you do in your life, whether you're a plumber or an Uber driver, or if you own your own business, like you do have to know what economy you're a part of, and Peter McCormick is in the attention economy. That's what he does. He is not, maybe there's a part, no, I doubt it. I was going to say maybe there's a part of him that's in the pump your bags business, like for instance, we talk about Daniel, for instance, like his business is in making his money worth more. Like that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to share his vision with the world so that he can have more value in his own hardware wallet or whatever. There's a lot of people in crypto that are like that. They want the value of Bitcoin to go up because they own a lot of it. I think Roger Ver, he wants Bitcoin Cash to go up in value because he owns a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's a viable business. Sure, why not? It's a selfish business, but but why not? But think just, I mean, what is everybody in crypto doing, and why do they want your attention? Why do they want you to follow them on Twitter? Is it a game for them? Is it a business? Whatever it is. And the reason I even mention this is because this is the thought process that gets you to thinking in the back of your head that everyone is trying to scam you.
Yeah.
When you think about what everybody's angle is, what everybody wants out of you, what do we want out of you?
You know what's funny? So I'm going to be brutally honest with the audience right now, just because I feel like this is an appropriate time for it, is for the last couple of months, JJ and I have been critically thinking about how to expand our audience, how to generate a little bit of income through like Patreon or this or that. But at the end of the day, neither of us really does anything to do it. Because I don't know about you, I'm not going to speak for you, but for me, it just kind of like, that's not why I'm doing this. I would love to make some money from it, but at the same time, like, I just feel like that would be a hook in me that would not allow me to be who I am on the show anymore.
No, it would definitely change things about this and with the way we do it and how we just kind of, I mean, we're not afraid to like, talk shit about somebody or something. We're also not afraid to say that, you're not afraid to talk about Nano or whatever.
I love Nano.
And we're not going to get labeled as, well, we might get labeled as shitcoin shills, but that doesn't matter because we don't have to combat that with anything really at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, fuck man, Nano's looking pretty good right now. Actually, dude. I saw they got transactions down to like 0.02 seconds or something ridiculous like that. Around the world and back in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
That's
so
insane.
If you don't know, it's on
free.
It's on the Nano Reddit. They did a video about they wanted to send one Nano around the world. And people sending it around the world, and they did it in 15 seconds.
How many transactions was that then?
I don't know. I haven't watched the whole video yet. I just saw the link as you were hitting record. I was like, okay, hit stop.
Yeah, and Digibyte I saw was also like they got something down to like a fraction of a second, but that example was just to show that Nano was so much faster. Now, something that you said to me that you were worried about Nano is that you mentioned the Tesla to Edison comparison. It's like, Edison kind of won out, even though Tesla made better technology, basically. But he wasn't a good businessman. Tesla was just kind of in it for the science and in it for the love.
Edison didn't care who he killed along the way. He actually killed an elephant to win. So actually electrocuted an elephant to death to just to win, just to beat out Tesla.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. So this also is an important thing to think about. Something that we think about on this show, and one of the reasons we have the show is like, okay, understand that you need to have a business sense in order to get by in the world. You need to understand what you're providing for the world in return. I mean, this is just fucking capitalism. That's the way it works. But when we're looking at things like shitcoins like Nano and how it's really going to be hard for them to grow because and we've talked about it on the show, it's not incentivizing people to use it besides the fact that it's cheap and free and fast. It's cheap and free. It's free and fast to use. However, they don't really know how to market. I mean, at first what was the name of it? It was called like Ryblocks or something like that. Ryblocks. Yeah. And then they changed it to Nano, which is like, wasn't there a podcast there was an iPod called the Nano. Like everything's called a fucking Nano. It's actually really bad branding. I mean, it's
the Ledger Nano.
The Ledger Nano. So it's just really bad branding. They're really not business people. They're not marketers. We have contacted them asking them if one of them will come on the show. And the response we get is, well, our devs aren't very talkative. It's like, how are people going to know about your stupid coin if no one wants to talk about it?
And then I keep hearing, well, they're trying to work out all the final bugs and get to a place where it's running smoothly. And I'm like, this isn't running smoothly. I mean, but it's like, and someone said, Oh, and I said it, and I was wrong. I said it's still kind of in beta, and someone's like, no, it's actually not in beta at all. But they are trying to like get it so it's borderline perfect before they do any kind of hardcore push, and they're trying to do local community organizing versus full scale whatever. And I was like, okay, I respect that. But the community even said, hey, there are a lot of the devs said like there's a lot of evangelists on Twitter and on YouTube who are cool and they're smart and they're educated about it. And, we think they would be great to have on your podcast. So I think somebody who's more well-spoken and extroverted, I think would be a better guest anyway. So I'm okay with it, but it did speak volumes about.
Well, if somebody comes on and they're like a smooth talking nano representative, and that would be a little odd. I mean, it's like, part of the thing that we might want to show is that one of the reasons that a lot of these crypto projects really aren't going to be able to compete very well is you'll be able to see like they're not as cutthroat as Edison. They're not as they just don't have that I'm going to rise to the top Justin Sun sort of attitude.
Yeah.
And Justin Sun is sitting at the top of, well, he's not at the top, but he's up there.
He's at the top of his mountain.
Now, Vitalik doesn't seem like somebody who's overly concerned with business, but it makes me wonder. Now, all those other guys, Charlie Lee and Fluffy Pony, give me a break. All of those guys knew that they were going to be millionaires and possibly billionaires in the future.
Yeah.
Like, they knew exactly what they were doing. Justin Sun, like, get out of here. Like, that guy, like, he was doing it to be rich very powerful. That's what he wanted. But there's nobody really at Nano trying to do that. Nobody at all.
Not at all.
And that's going to be a problem for them. Nobody is trying to market it, really.
I mean, who anyway. The Nano team reminds me of is the Bitcoin community in the early days. Just a bunch of nerds sitting around their computers on chat, on whatever website, blah, blah, just seriously working on the code. And the thing about the Bitcoin community now is there's nobody doing that anymore in the Bitcoin community. It's all just these evangelists who have no clue what they're talking about. Like Saifedean, when you're pumping out these like archaic, just borderline crazy economic theories, and you want normal everyday people who are educated to actually buy Bitcoin based on your just complete asinine thoughts about how economies of scale work. How is Bitcoin going to grow when these are the people that intelligent everyday people are coming into contact with? So I just don't see it.
I don't know. Who do you want your Satoshi to be? Like that's kind of like that's who do you, like and some people are like, oh, Craig Wright is Satoshi. Some people are like Charlie Lee invented Litecoin, like he did something amazing. Like we don't know anything about Satoshi, and that's probably a good thing. We did an episode on what if Satoshi is a pedophile? Honestly, would you still buy the dip? Like what?
I would love Crypto Euclid to be Satoshi.
Crypto Euclid is Satoshi. I think that's probably the title of this episode.
Wouldn't that be amazing if he turned out to be Satoshi?
Or who else was I thinking of? Could be Satoshi. There's every time I go on Twitter, I'm like, this dude's Satoshi, just because they're like, yeah. But I mean, that. I think that's a good question to ask, because the question of if Satoshi was a pedophile, would you still buy the dip?
Yeah.
That's my question. And if the answer is no, I wouldn't, because I don't believe in somebody who would act that way or whatever, have that problem, I don't know. Then like, who are you following? And are you following them because they're a moral person? Because they're going to make you rich? Like, what is the deal there? Because you're hating all this stuff because of what somebody told you to hate about it, or because there's a bunch of other people that love it, or because it threatens you in some way. But is that threat, like, where is that coming from? Ask you not what Bitcoin can do for you, but what you can do for you. No, that's not the right quote. It's ask, like, just think critically about what your part in this is. Think critically about what your part in this crypto thing is. That's the way I want to put it.
Perfect.
Because right now, if I found out that Satoshi
did it in one take. Sorry.
If I found out that Satoshi, you're an asshole. If I found out that Satoshi was a terrible person, like, I'd be like, well, you know what? Like, terrible people come up with amazing solutions all the time that we actually take a part in. So I don't know. What do you think? It's really, really hard to separate the person from the institution that they create, right?
Yeah, it is.
So how do you do that? I mean,
I don't that often. I mean, I'm trying to think if I have.
Is there anything that you use and you love that was created by someone that you despise?
All my Apple stuff.
Okay, so there you go. It's like this is something that you use and you love, or maybe you don't love it because it reminds you of something that you think is terrible.
Yeah, but I think so. In my mind, like, I try to pick the lesser of two evils, because at this point, I feel like what I do for a living, I kind of have to have a smartphone, and so the option is, I don't hear any Android people talking about workers' rights, clean energy, any of that kind of stuff. Apple does, but then Apple makes their phones impossible to upgrade, and they're not modular, and they're just literally throwaway devices as soon as you're done with it. You know, they say, oh, we recycle it, but then I'm reading stuff that they only recycle like one 1/100th of it, and the rest is all fucking scrapped. And it's just like, it just makes me so depressed about. And then they actually fight against bills to allow people to repair their own smartphones. And I'm just like, what are you doing? You don't care about the environment, you pieces of fucking shit. And then I'm just guilty about having this damn smartphone. But then I'm the kind of guy that I've never been able to. I had an Android phone and it lasted me about a year and a half. And the last iPhone I had lasted me for 4 years. And I'm going to try to make this one last for 4 years. So that's kind of how I justify it.
What if it's even more removed than that? Like, I'm trying to think, like, I've always been like a fan of the Smiths and Morrissey. I've always loved Morrissey, but when like he got old and he starts using social media and I learned that he's a racist bigot.
Oh God. Yeah.
And it's like, man, but I still love all those songs. Like, how do I not love the songs? And how do I love the songs and then hate the guy who wrote them? Yeah. It's weird. But that's what's going to happen. We're going to find out that Craig Wright is Satoshi, and we're going to be like, shit. We're going to find out that Richard Hart created Bitcoin. Exactly. That Crypto Euclid created Bitcoin.
I would love it, though. I would love that.
That would be, of course, I would too.
So get this. I wanted to, I made the accusation that Edison killed an elephant, and I wanted to just verify to make sure that's true. Because see, that's how I am. If I make a statement, I want to verify it. So I'm on Rutgers School of Arts and Sciences, and they're myth busting. Apparently, the elephant had killed a couple of people over the course of 3 months, and the SPCA ruled to kill, she had to be put down. This elephant called Topsy. So they sentenced her to death and used Edison to do it. Jeez. So he electrocuted to death a number of animals, chiefly dogs, provided by the SPCA to test whether it would kill them or not. And then he put on this spectacle to prove, to say, this is what Tesla's energy will do to you, the alternating current will do to you. So that's why we shouldn't have it in America, because it could kill you and your kids. And then he proceeded to kill this elephant with electricity.
Jesus Christ!
This is what you have to do to win. But then 100 years later, we were like, oh shit, Tesla's technology is way better than Edison's.
That's crazy.
Way more
like,
reliable.
He's just like, this is why the person that I'm competing with is bad. I'm going to use their tools. Oh, man, that is so sick.
And he didn't use he didn't use alternating current to do it.
Well, no, I mean, you wouldn't need to. I mean, like, to electrocute an elephant, just give it enough voltage. It doesn't matter if it's DC or AC. But, like, I mean, yeah, that's pretty messed up.
But he killed it, and then he said it was alternating current that did it.
I see. Yeah, that's like killing somebody with a car and saying, like, see what Teslas are going to do? Like, they're going to kill people.
And so that's kind of how I view Bitcoin right now. Like, they're Edison. They're doing anything they possibly can to kill all these side projects, all these alternate projects. And Richard Hart said it best. Every single project that's tried to build on top of Bitcoin has failed because the Bitcoin developers don't want it to succeed.
The Bitcoin developers don't want it to succeed, and nor do anybody that facilitates Bitcoin, like Blockstream or Lightning or Liquid.
Yeah.
Nobody wants anybody building anything. Nobody wants anybody making Bitcoin better in any way.
Yeah, it's
because
wild.
that would mean that it wouldn't need its crutches.
Yeah.
Because if you are like,
and all the facilitators couldn't make all their money off of it. Like, these facilitators are just leeching as much money as they can off the Bitcoin blockchain, and it's like, they're sucking at the teat, and they don't want that. You know what it reminds me of is you have that famous actor or famous musician, and they have all their leeches just sucking on them.
Yeah, totally.
And it's just like that's what Bitcoin's devolved into. Like, Bitcoin is Michael Jackson.
They're just surrounded by managers and lawyers and handlers and everything.
And and Bitcoin's closest friends are like, "Yo, you got to stop taking that sleep drug." I think, who said this? Maybe Richard Hart said this, but it's true. Like, you got to stop taking that sleeping drug. And all the people who are making their money off them are like, no, this is what, get you the next performance, get you the next payday, because we got to get paid and blah blah. And it's just like, that's what Bitcoin's become. Bitcoin is Michael Jackson. Right. I think Michael Jackson was Satoshi, and that's why we haven't heard from him for so long. Yeah,
that would make sense. So Bitcoin has just been doped up by all their handlers, by their pimps and their dealers.
And now they're electrocuting animals.
Yeah, and now those pimps and dealers and handlers are electrocuting animals and blaming it on Craig Wright.
So Bitcoin kills puppies. That's the name of the episode.
Yes, Bitcoin kills puppies. Are you still going to buy the dip, basically? All right, everybody, that's our show, 58 minutes.
Welcome.
Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome.
Follow us at Keyword Crypto on Twitter. Check out our website, keyword-crypto.com. And we have a Patreon, so you can support us and we can do more of these episodes.
Yeah.
And let us know who you want us to have on the show. We don't really get to do these just kind of one-on-one episodes because it's kind of fun. But we'll probably get back to interviewing smart people on this show soon.
Yeah, we got a couple people lined up that we think you'll like. So,
and as usual, find us on Twitter. Tell us we're dumb kids and shitcoin shills. We love to hear about it.
We love it. And that we interrupt our guests too much.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. We do that. All of these things, we're working on them.
Yeah.
We're trying to become.
We want to be better. We want to be better for you. Mm-hmm. That'd be our tagline. Better for you. That's what we're trying to be. Better for you.